Alright, guys. What's up, guys? Axel Toss here, back with another episode of the golden hour, the golden Axel Toss lunch hour. I think is that what we've decided on? I don't know what it's called, but basically, I picked two people from my stream chat, twitch.tv/AxelToss. We're live right now. If you're watching this on VOD, obviously we're not live right now, or we might be. As you're watching this YouTube video, I might be live on my stream, so go check it out. Anyway, what's basically is going to happen here is I invited two guys from my Twitch chat to play each other, and now I will watch them as they play each other and identify what they did right, what they did wrong, stuff like that. Of course, they've muted the stream, hopefully, and they can watch the VOD. So if you are watching the VOD, hello, Mr. George, Geroge, and Krux. Krux is the Protoss player in the bottom right. George is bottom left. So hopefully it's helpful to both of them and helpful to anyone watching personal play. Both these guys are diamonds, so I'm expecting this to be a really good match. The last match I did, episode 1, was between two platinums, and I went over a lot of basic ideas. So if you're just getting into StarCraft 2, or you're trying to learn how to play, that's probably one to watch. Though it's relatively advanced, but I covered a lot of basic ideas about StarCraft 2. So here we are. I feel like these guys probably both know the basic ideas being in Diamond, and it's more going to be strategical implications, decision making, and micro things. So I'm going to be looking out for those. So looking at the opening build orders, PvZ Newkirk, relatively side-splitting map. Is that a good word to use? I'm not sure. Where you can easily split in half, kinda. It used to be worse, where there's only 2 attack paths across the map, literally. I think it was like this one and this one. And if you're going in this direction, like, no one's gonna go the long way, right? The most logical way is through the middle of the map. So it's like every army was just going through the middle and they're clashing, and then it just turned into really long games. Anyway, not the case here. There's some attack paths down here, lots of different ways you can go, like attack up the top with some zealots, draw them up here, draw their army up here, and then at the same time try to attack through the natural. Or there's a lot of airspace. Sorry if the camera is bad. That movement. There's a lot of airspace, and you can like attack the orders from here. So imagine a war prism attack here, zealots up here. So people who like really like counter-attacky plays like this map in the mid game at least, but once it gets to the middle of the game, it's very important. It's much more difficult to get that counterattack stuff done, because they'll just build static defense here, and then, you know, maybe just completely wall this off, or some sort of defense there, or honestly, just completely focus on these 2 corridors and make sure there's defense over here and defense down here as far as static defense is concerned. So it's really hard to get counterattack damage done. Anyway, enough about the map. More about these two players and what they're doing. Looks like a Forge Fast Expand. It's always hard to wall. Ugh. I hate walling on maps like these. It feels so yucky because you have to put 2 pylons. Ugh. So Forge Fast Expand, that's fine. Looks like he's relatively optimal with everything. 28 to 26. He's got the 2 gases going at a right time. 69 minerals, perfect. Gonna saturate those gases pretty quickly. Now it'll be interesting to see if he gets a +1 out of his forge. So we got 2 gases here at his natural that are not taken yet, which is fine. Cool. So he's gonna start a Cybercore right away. Oh, Link gets by. That's annoying. Meanwhile, George identifying this with his Overlord. Really good scouting from him. Identifying this and taking expansions, which is fine. That's definitely a thing that, you know, is what you want to do. Ooh, getting a gas though, so not delaying the speed too much, so that's okay. Again, if you're investing a lot in economy, sometimes it's okay to do a little slight investment into tech and army by getting some speed lanes on the field. Wow, this thing is being annoying. How much health is that? 240. So how much damage does the lane do? 5. 240 divided by 5 is like 60 or something. That's a lot of hits. Well, this thing is really annoying. Okay, anyway. What are these guys doing? We're getting to the point where a lot of gas is being accumulated here from Krux, so he needs to decide where he wants to go. No sentry either. What is he saving all this gas for? He did get the upgrade. It's fine. No mothership core though. Weird. At this point, I would get the Mothership Core. Maybe, though. I don't know. It depends on a scout. And it's nice to have a Mothership Core out here poking around. Do you have Mothership Core? Yeah, no Mothership Core. So it's nice to have moving around, and you have Photon Overcharge early, so it's like you feel really safe. You always like the first 100 or 200 gas you have as a Protoss is like actually ridiculously important. You have to make the decision. Okay, do I go for Warp Gate? Do I go for a Sentry? Do I go for Stalker? Do I go for a Mothership Core? All those things that cost gas. So he's floating a lot of it, and that makes me hurt a little bit, because if there's a time you should not be floating gas, it's in the early game against her. But who knows? It's also easy to spend all your gas by making a bunch of sentries, so not a huge deal if you're floating too much. But it looks like he decided to go for a +1 and Warp Gate, and he's adding on a Robo, so he's not adding on any more gateways, and that's what the Zerg is trying to figure out. He sees the 2 gases at the natural, and that's something you can see and be like, okay, you're teching. You're not adding on additional gateways, which is accurate. So we got a Forge and a Twilight, and this Overlord is a great scout here. So the Zerg is doing a really good job. Is there anything he's doing really wrong? I mean, creep spread isn't really working, is it? He's not really spreading the creep, not really prioritizing that, which makes me a little bit nervous. I think that should always be a priority. Maybe just really, like, he has enough energy here to start the creep at his main, so that's actually really important. Going up to 4 gases. Where is the layer? Good. Adding on Burrow, adding on drones, adding on roaches. Good. Doing all the right things based on what he's identified. So, because what the Zerg identifies is 2 gases. My opponent's teching. He just got out of the Forge and Twilight, so he knows he's not investing a lot into a big gateway push. So the Zerg can afford to drone and do stuff. And now we're gonna have a 2-2. So is this gonna be like a 2-2 blink something? Let's see if we cut harvesters. They're still not saturated yet. Again, 16 minerals, 16 main. 12 on gas is what you want for a 2 base all-in. And you can add a few more than that, so like 18 on each channel. So that's like around 48. Around 48 is probably the number you're looking for. So he's adding on 2-2. So this implies that either he's doing like a 2-2 blink push. So blink would have to start 170 minus 190. So blink would have to start when +1 is at 20 seconds. So let's see if he does that. Oh, he doesn't even have +2 armor. Okay. Adding on an Immortal. So an Immortal is very gas intensive. That's less blink stalkers, right? So I don't know about that. Whereas instead, I don't know. Okay, so adding on 3 additional gates. So he's gonna expand. It looks like. Oh, crafty, Burrowedling. That's annoying. Or is he? So this is 3 gateways. So you would love to be able to expand with. Like, there's no point adding on these 3 gateways after adding these already. Like, you already have these. If you're going to do that many, you want to wait until you have 6, until you have 20, then make 6 gateways at once. It's just more efficient. So he could have expanded there now. Oh, that pylon might be misplaced. I think he blocked his Nexus. That makes me really nervous. He's a cheeky guy. But he could have just added on those 3 gateways to add on the Nexus faster. Okay, that's fine. But now he's floating a bit of minerals and gas. He doesn't have anything to spend it on, so... Okay. Okay, so now starting charge. Yeah, push won't really work here. Like, there's no push that really works here. So maybe just playing safe. I'm just gonna play defensive, add on Immortals, charge lots. This is kind of weak to like Roach Hydra stuff, because you're not getting any AoE tech. Like, there's no Colossi progression. There's no Colossi progression. There's no Storm progression really. And you're really investing a lot in upgrades, so you're really going to be prioritizing gateway units, which is, like, gateway units are really bad against the Hydra composition. Unless your force fields are perfect, but if your force fields are perfect, you want more sentries, which is energy-based and not upgrade-based. So it is a gateway unit, but if you're investing this much in upgrades, that means you want to make a lot of Zealots and Stalkers, which you're not making a lot of, so... I don't know. 3 additional gateways added on. Something to change up, maybe, get a faster Robo Bay, or get a faster Tempo Archives, or go to DT or something. Because I think this dies do a lot of stuff. Like, imagine if like a bunch of mutas just fly in right now. That's something you have to be afraid of. Anyway, what's the Zerg up to? He's been really passive. We've noticed that. Still, the creep spread isn't out there, and that's like so important, especially when you're going Hydras. Unless, if you're like really lazy and you don't want to spread creep, this is the only reason you wouldn't. Though I think you always should anyway. But like, if you had a little excuse, if you're going Nidus play, like if you're going like this map is, I think this map is pretty good for Nidus. There's a lot of space in the bases. Like, imagine a Nidus right here. And you can really spread your opponent out when it's a map that it's kind of hard to do. Like imagine a Nidus right here attacking this space, and then a Nidus up here attacking this space a little bit later on. It can be really annoying. And then also, if you have a Nidus here, you have the ability to have a Nidus here, so you can just really be annoying absolutely everywhere. That's the only reason I wouldn't spread creep. And this composition is kind of icky to me. You never want only Hydras, because if like he makes something to directly counter it, unless I'm forgetting, not seeing a bunch of roaches somewhere. Because like, what if your opponent had like 4 Colossus right now? Like this would just die. Of course, benefit of the doubt. So you scouted the Immortal, or the Robo, but I guess you're not scouting a Robo base, so you can know that he doesn't have, well, he does have Storm on the way now. So there's a timing here, and this is so important you scout this as a Zerg player. This is like so important to scout. So you've seen the Templar Archives. You've seen the 3 bases. So there's 2 vulnerabilities, and it looks like you spotted these at the same time. You see the double forge. So there's a couple vulnerabilities here for the Protoss. One, getting the 3rd up. There's a lot of open space out here, especially with Hydras. You can get a lot of damage done, right? A lot of space, you can get the Hydras roaming. So that 3rd is really risky when you're going for mainly Hydras. Also, you see, okay, he's going for 2 forges, he's going for a Twilight, he's going for High Templar Archives. Where is there a Robobay? Okay, there's a Robobay, but you see it's not even being used. So you know you have a timing here. Before A, when Colossus gets out, and before B, when Storm gets out, and before he can get all his money's worth out of his 3rd base. So identifying the High Templar Archives, if it's not whirling, you're either really scared that his High Templars, you go scout him. If it just starts whirling, you know the timing of the High Templar Storm, and that's really important to scout. You want to hit before that. But now, like before Storm finishes, there's a gaping timing where this army demolishes Krux. Absolutely demolishes him. He only had 3 sentries. He didn't have a lot of stuff. But once Storm finishes, and once these 3 bases get up and running, and he's able to add on gateway units, it's a terrible situation. So right now, George went from being in a fantastic early game to hoping his opponent makes a mistake. And he's going for Vipers, and Vipers are something you want to do against Colossus, but he was able to see this Robobay and this Robo, so he knows his opponent isn't going Colossi, so the Vipers don't really do anything. They're just going to get fed back by High Templars. But I don't know, George hasn't been touched all day, so it's one of those things where as long as he's really cost efficient, it doesn't really matter. Well, he doesn't have to be too cost efficient, but his economy is through the roof, so as long as he trades okay, it doesn't really matter. But this is a composition from Krux that can actually just kill this so easily. If the force fields are right, the storms are right, he can be stupidly cost efficient. Okay, this is really good for George. Well, it's unclear. It's relatively even because Krux has a lot of gas. He can make a lot more High Templars and have Storm available. So, you know, honestly, overall, that was pretty even. Like, that was actually pretty strange. So, if we're talking about most efficient ways to engage that from both players, what they're each trying to do, the Protoss, Krux, force fields in front of the army. Keep the army away with force fields. Or ideally, if you're really fancy, force fields in the back of the army and then in front of the army. And then Storm, right there. Not engaging with the Zealots. Keeping the Zealots back. Keeping the Archons back. Keeping everything back except the High Templar and the Storm. You keep them away with the Sentry, and then you Storm the whole army. That's a perfectly ideal world. Obviously, this guy's not perfect. No one's perfect. No one can feasibly do that necessarily. So he was kind of moving with the Zealots. Like, Zealots is probably the main priority. You don't want to be in the front. Unless the force fields are behind the army. If the force fields are in front of the army, you don't want the Zealots to be in front of the, running against the force fields. But if you can get the force fields behind the army, it's tough to do against Hydras. You generally want to split them up. Then yeah, by all means, the charge loss in there. Archons are good. See here, and then of course you always keep your Templar in the back, and then come forward a little bit. Identify what he has. Like, does he have any Infestors? Does he have any Vipers? Try to feedback those, and then Storm as much as possible, and keep your main army back. The whole idea is you want your Storm to get the damage done, and you don't want your army to take damage. So the closer your army is to your opponent while Storm is going on, the more needless damage you're going to take. Think of Storms as force fields. Your Zerg opponent isn't going to run through them. Ooh, taking on the High Templar. Ooh. Ooh, good force field. Okay, so I'm not sure what George is trying to accomplish, because I guess I'll talk from a Zerg point of view. From a Zerg point of view, you want the most massive concave as possible. That's absolutely what you want. Also, you want to make sure your opponent is distracted. You want to distract us, even if it means just sending a Ling over here to the right and pecking on a probe, or attacking something at the front door. 4 Lings, 6 Lings, or maybe unburrowing this Ling, sending him in, just to take your opponent's attention away from this area for a second. Right, you kind of play with them mentally a little bit. So you attack in this way. Maybe even send an Overlord and drop an Overseer. Just try to create havoc somewhere else. And then You attack from every single angle, and you want to get as close as possible to the Protoss army before engaging. Unless there's a lot of zealots, you want to kite away. But you want a good trade, and good trades are killing the High Templar, killing the Colossi, killing the Sentries. That's what you want to accomplish. So distract somewhere else, and then pounce with absolutely everything. Target fire the spellcasters. Target fire the expensive units. Ooh, Ultras. Scary. No Immortals here. So the Protoss, did he identify that? He hasn't seen the Hive yet. That's a mistake. So as a Protoss, you need to always be scouting for the Hive. Let's see what happens here. This is a terrible engagement for who? Does it matter? That's a really good storm. Okay, recall. Yeah. Zerg is dead here. Okay, so by the way, Protoss needs to immediately react by adding on a second Robo with all the money he has. Getting Immortals, Zealots, counterattacking. Counterattacking, just keep this army away. Keep this army away, keep it away. High Templar Storm is good. Archons, good. Right away, that's what you need to do. Sim City as much as possible. Gateway, 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 gateway. All along here. Why not completely wall this off with gateways? Why not? Tell me a good reason. You have all this money, and you know you're being attacked, you know you need time. It's such a desperate situation. If you get time, you're happy. Because you need Immortals out, you need to be able to identify with the Sec Switch. Why not completely wall this off? Completely wall it off, counterattack, bring him away from your side of the map while teching, because you were caught with your pants down. But anyway, you can identify that earlier, right? If you scout the Hive, but Zerg isn't going to go Broodlords. I mean, you just want to scout the Hive, because Hive means either Ultralisk Den, Ultra's Cavern, or Broodlords. So scouting the Hive is so important, and then you know when to send more Phoenixes. You've had a billion sentries this entire game, no reason not to send those Hallucinate. So you're looking for the Hive, you're looking for what you should be afraid of as far as the Ultras or the Broodlords. If you identify the Ultras, first of all, you make sure you have a good amount of bases, because it takes a while to get Ultras. You identify the timing of when the Ultras are coming. You want to hit right before they pop out. And even if the Ultras Cavern is done, basically you want to attack. You want to attack until you see Ultras, and then you want to recall right away. Because there's a gaping timing where your opponent doesn't have Ultras, they're spending so many other resources on that, that as a Protoss, you want to take advantage of that, right? You want to take advantage of the fact that you're investing a lot into your econ, or a lot into your army when your opponent is investing a lot into your future army. Again, it's all about investing into now, into the future. When are you weak now? When are you strong now? You're strong at the very moment your opponent makes 12 Ultras in that production tab, and that's when you want to be striking as much as possible. Have a Mothership Core there, recall out, and you're fine. Then, the next step, add on a second Robo, add on Immortals, add on Archons. Archons are the emergency key to defending against that, and hallucinating Archons is great too. Force fields aren't going to do anything, I'm sorry. And then you buy time. You buy time, you buy time. Again, the more Immortals you can get out, the more Archons, the better. And ideally, you're taking more bases. When you take more bases, you completely wall off. Ultras, they're not going to do anything. Like, if you make a little choke, wall off, put buildings everywhere. You have ranged units. You have Immortals. Like, you don't need that space. You can just chill with your Immortals on the high ground. Your opponent's going to be sending a bunch of Ultras at your low ground. And it's like, all right, whatever. Yeah. So buildings everywhere, especially in open space, like gateway wall right here. Maybe a little bit of space. Your Zealots and Immortals can squeeze by a little bit in your Archons, but you get the picture. This is actually a pretty close game. Now George. You have Broodlords on the way, right? George should still win this. Though I think it's one of these situations where neither of these players have really scouted what their opponent is doing. Like I still don't think Krux knows about the Greater Spire. Yeah, he doesn't know about Broodlords. And this army dies. He has to be like, what's going on? Thinking about it from the Protoss point of view, he's like, oh god, why isn't he? What is he making? Because whenever your opponent isn't attacking you as Zerg, they're making something scary in production, and that's 11%. So right now, once you get that feeling of something's wrong, things are going too well. That's what's happening right here for Krux. Things are going way too well for Krux. He's like, he just took 2 bases, and like the worst thing you can think is like, oh, I'm gonna win this. No, there's a reason you were scared earlier. You just lost your third. There's a reason you just lost your third. There's a reason he's not able to defend 2 bases, because he's got all this scariness in production. So yeah, once you identify that, you want to get as much damage done before that stuff comes out. You want to transition immediately. So again, it's all about identifying what they've tech switched to. This time the Broodlords, so you want to get Void Rays out as fast as possible. But he only has 2 bases, so he doesn't have the economy, so he's going to die. That's just what's going to happen here. I guess if you want to try to get in the only way to come back in this situation, ridiculously good control, getting a Stargate right now, getting Void Rays, delaying, and counterattacking. Counterattacking everywhere, take a 3rd base. But you don't want to engage this head on ever. Always counterattack, Buy time. Buy time, buy time, buy time. So you can get your Stargate, so you can get your Void Rays out, so you can get Blink Stalkers out. So you can, there we go, there's the counterattack we're looking for. Are you listening to the stream? See, look, see now the Broodlords are kind of, they're hesitating a little bit, like, wait a second. That's a lot of scary stuff. Okay, so there's nothing with these Broodlords, which is actually really bad. So if there's a way to come back for Krux, it's like, alright, get a bunch of Stalkers, blink underneath those, thank you, or just attack them with the Void Rays. Good counterattack. See, this is so good, because the Zerga's indecisive, he's like, what do I do? Okay, so Zerga, that situation, really, static defense is fine. Static defense is perfectly fine, and add-on reinforcements. Like, your reinforcements are dealing with that? Okay, yeah. So, yeah. Alright. Cool. Cool. Alright, guys, that concludes episode 2. George and Krux, good play overall. Anything I want to say? Hope you enjoyed the tips. Hopefully it was helpful. So, Krux, this game, you just needed to make sure to identify tech switches. Identify tech switches. That was your biggest. If you scouted more, you're in a great position. Your macro's fantastic. You're great macro. You have great unit. Army control. Great army control. It's just you're identifying these tech switches. You have great decision making. Like adding on the second Immortal was fantastic. Or second Robe was fantastic. Adding on the Stargate into the Broodlords. You have really good decision making. It's just, okay. Can y'all stop making noise, please? Okay, so, yeah, just identifying the tech faster. Don't be afraid to send those hallucinates. I know you're probably one of those players who's like, gosh, it's just another thing I have to do, another thing I have to worry about. I just want to focus on my macro. But it's so helpful. If you can identify what your opponent is doing, you can know exactly how to react. It's just easier overall. So, more hallucinates. Also, your game plan in the beginning was kind of strange. Going heavy gateway units with 2-2 against Roach Hydra at a fast third, that's a sure way to die. You were pretty fortunate in that he didn't identify that. George had a gaping window where he could have killed you in the middle of the game there when you didn't have Storm, you didn't have a lot of like AoE, and he had like 30 Hydras and he just wasn't doing anything with them. You could have, that would have been a lot more difficult for you, Krux, but you did end up dying, so just focus on that early game. Solid build orders, like you're kind of in between a lot of things. You got to choose one, like Colossi, you know, get those Colossus out, get that Robobit down. High Templar, get that High Templar Archives down. You know, along with the third, that's fine. But like taking a third, then getting upgrades here, then adding on gateways here, adding on gateways here, it's all a lot of middle of the road stuff that, you know, just delays you getting more tech out. Zerg player, good job. Identify though that when you have a lot of Hydras and Roaches and you're in scout for those things, if you identify he's in the middle of the road, you're strongest when you have full saturation and you're max 200 Roach Hydra. Even less than that, even like when you're at 130, 140 and he was taking a third, no reason that goes up. No reason that goes up. You can win a lot earlier. But good play overall. You played a little bit dangerously as far as you lost 2 hatcheries here when you're doing your Broodlord transition. When you're doing your Broodlord transition, like, kind of do it when you're expecting to trade, because the dangerous part is if you like just throw away your whole army, there's actually a pretty good timing where it's really scary and your opponent can hit you if they kill your whole army while you're transitioning. So you always want to keep some units alive to make them slow down as much as possible so you can get your Broodlords out. Typically a situation where you're throwing away like half your Roach Hydra army, but you're keeping most of it alive. Just try to delay, try to get some cost efficient trades while getting the Broodlords out, because you still need stuff underneath the Broodlords to supplement them. Okay, thanks for playing, George and Krux. Hope it was a good time. This is the conclusion of episode 2. If you want to catch it live, go to twitch.tv/AxelToss. You can also check out my YouTube channel for all past VODs, youtube.com/AxelTossSC. And if you're watching this YouTube video right now, and I could be live right now, you never know. So if you're watching this video right now, go click on this Twitch link. And if I'm live, great. If I'm not, hit that follow button so you can catch me when I'm live. Until next time, guys, see you. This has been AxelToss. It was fun.